Time travel is one of the most fascinating concepts in both science and fiction. It sparks curiosity about what the future holds or how the past could have been altered. While the possibility of time travel has been widely debated, some stories have surfaced that make us wonder whether time travel could actually be real. From strange appearances to unexplained knowledge of future events, these stories have convinced many that time travelers might already be among us.
Are you an actual time traveler from the year 2030?
Yeah.
Join us as we count down 20 of the most convincing time traveler stories ever told. Number 20, John Titor. In the early 2000s, the name John Titor became infamous on various online forums. Claiming to be a time traveler from the year 2036, Titor described a future world that was embroiled in chaos, including a second American Civil War and a global conflict known as World War III. Titor stated that he was sent to the past on a mission to retrieve an IBM 5100 computer, which he claimed was essential for debugging legacy systems in his time. What set Titor apart from other so-called time travelers was the level of detail he provided about his world. He posted schematics of his supposed time machine, which he said was built by General Electric, and he engaged in lengthy discussions with users about quantum physics and time travel theory.
When the machine is on, everything is black. When turned off, the world fades in from black, like waking up from a dream. You often sleep through the transition, but notice the effect when you're awake.
Although many of Titor's specific predictions did not come true, such as the onset of a civil war in the US in 2004, his followers remained convinced that he was indeed a time traveler, possibly altering the timeline as we know it. The mystery surrounding John Titor only deepened when he suddenly disappeared from the internet, leaving no trace of his existence. Whether a brilliant hoax or something more, the legend of John Titor remains one of the most talked about time travel stories to this day. Number 19, Rudolph Fentz. The story of Rudolph Fentz is one of the strangest time travel tales on record. In 1950, a man was reportedly struck by a car in the middle of Times Square in New York City. Witnesses described him as being confused and out of place, dressed in 19th century clothing, including a long coat and mutton chop sideburns. Authorities searched his pockets and found items that seemed to confirm his anachronistic appearance. A letter postmarked in 1876, business cards for an unknown saloon, and coins that had been out of circulation for decades. Further investigation revealed no trace of Fentz in any modern records, but a search of 19th century documents uncovered that a man named Rudolph Fentz had gone missing in 1876 under mysterious circumstances.
So what happened to the original Rudolph Fentz? Did he accidentally travel forward in time by 75 years, leaving his young son behind to age naturally over time, and die before his reappearance in 1951? We're not so sure.
However, there is a twist. It was later revealed that the story was most likely fiction, originating from a short story published in a science fiction magazine in the 1950s. Despite this, the tale continues to captivate the imaginations of time travel enthusiasts who believe that it could be based on a real event or hold a grain of truth. Number 18, Andrew Carlson. In 2003, a man named Andrew Carlson was arrested on suspicion of insider trading after turning a modest $800 into an unbelievable $350 million in just 2 weeks. When questioned by authorities, Carlson gave them an unbelievable explanation. He claimed to be a time traveler from the year 2256. Carlson claimed that his knowledge of future stock prices enabled him to make these impossible gains. He supposedly provided further predictions about upcoming events, including details about the future of technology and political changes. Despite a thorough investigation, authorities found no records of Carlson's existence prior to his arrest. Strangely, after being released on bail, Carlson disappeared without a trace, leaving his story unresolved.
There was no Andrew Carlson. The FBI was tired of telling everyone that this story was fiction. It was fake, and it appeared thanks to one resource, the Weekly World News. This tabloid liked to create such kind of news.
Many believe the entire saga was an elaborate hoax, but others wonder if Carlson really could have been a time traveler who exploited the stock market with his knowledge of the future. Number 17, Paul Dienach. The story of Paul Dienach is one of the most bizarre and detailed accounts of time travel ever recorded. In 1921, Dienach, a Swiss teacher, fell into a coma for a full year after contracting a severe illness. When he awoke, he claimed to have had an incredible experience. His consciousness had been transported into the future, into the body of a man named Andrew Northman, living in the year 3906.
Now, up until this time, Dienach's doctors didn't believe he was from the past. They thought he was suffering from some kind kind of brain trauma. But after questioning him for a while, the electors do believe him. They have knowledge of a rare psychic phenomenon that they called a consciousness shift, where someone's mind or soul could be transported into somebody else's body.
Dianuk stated that while trapped in Northman's body, he was able to witness an advanced civilization that had solved many of humanity's problems. Upon regaining consciousness in his own time, Dianuk wrote a detailed diary about his experiences in the future. This diary, which included accounts of technological advancements, philosophical developments, and a peaceful future society, was published years later by one of his students. Dianuk's story may be less well known than some other time travel accounts, but it has a devoted following of people who believe in its authenticity, even though it's impossible to verify. Number 16. The Philadelphia Experiment. The Philadelphia Experiment is one of the most controversial and widely debated stories of time travel and military experimentation. Legend says that in 1943, the US Navy conducted a secret experiment aimed at rendering the USS Eldridge, a naval destroyer, invisible to enemy radar.
Supposedly, after the switch was thrown, the ship was encased in fog. Everyone was running around the decks, screaming in panic mode. No one knew what was happening.
During the experiment, something went terribly wrong. Witnesses claimed that not only did the ship become invisible, but it also teleported from the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard to Norfolk, Virginia in the blink of an eye. Some accounts go even further, suggesting that the ship may have traveled through time as well. Many of the crew members allegedly suffered horrific consequences, with some reports stating that sailors were found fused into the ship's metal structure. Although the US Navy has denied that the experiment ever took place, and no official records support the claims, the story has become an enduring urban legend. Whether a cautionary tale about the dangers of tampering with unknown forces or a complete fabrication, the Philadelphia Experiment continues to fuel speculation about time travel and government conspiracies. Number 15. The Chronovisor. One of the most fascinating time travel claims comes from the 1960s, when a Catholic priest named Father Pellegrino Ernetti claimed to have invented a device that could peer into the past. Known as the Chronovisor, this alleged invention was said to allow users to witness historical events firsthand. Father Ernetti claimed that with the Chronovisor, he had observed moments from ancient Rome and even the crucifixion of Jesus Christ.
The scientific team discovered that sounds and images of past events left a permanent record behind in the residual form of electromagnetic radiation. A device was built to register, amplify, and display the source of these invisible waves.
Ernetti described the device as a screen connected to several sophisticated components that could tune into the specific vibrations left behind by past events. Although the Vatican never acknowledged the existence of such a machine, Ernetti's claims have sparked curiosity and skepticism alike. In the years following his revelations, no physical proof of the Chronovisor has surfaced. Many believe the story to be either a hoax or a metaphor for spiritual reflection, yet it remains a subject of intrigue. The Chronovisor's mystery is further complicated by the fact that Ernetti maintained his story until his death in 1994. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, the idea of a device capable of unlocking the secrets of the past continues to captivate people, leaving the door open to speculation about whether time travel, or at least time viewing, might be possible after all. Number 14. Project Pegasus. In the 1960s and 70s, lawyer Andrew Basiago claimed he had been part of a top-secret US government project known as Project Pegasus. Basiago stated that this initiative involved time travel and teleportation experiments, which were conducted under the guise of national defense. Basiago's account is not just a passing mention. He has extensively described how, as a child, he participated in these experiments.
So my father explained how we were going to jump through that field of energy and arrive in several seconds on a hillside somewhere else in the country. And we did so. He grabbed my hand and we jumped through the field of energy. And we entered an illuminated tunnel that was very similar to the accounts that people described during the near-death experience.
Basiago claims to have visited significant historical events, including witnessing Abraham Lincoln deliver the Gettysburg Address. He also stated that participants were sent to both the past and the future, where they were tasked with gathering information on critical events. He insists that the government possesses the technology to manipulate time and space but has kept it hidden from the public. While many dismiss Basiago's claims as conspiracy theories, his persistence and the level of detail he provides have garnered attention. His story continues to fuel debate among enthusiasts of time travel and those interested in government secrets, despite the lack of evidence to support the existence of Project Pegasus. Number 13. Håkan Nordqvist's Sync Time Travel. In 2006, Swedish man Håkan Nordqvist claimed to have experienced a very unusual time travel event, one that began while fixing his kitchen sink. Nordqvist recounted that while attempting to repair a leak, he somehow crawled through a portal and found himself in the year 2042. In this future setting, he came face to face with his older self.
Jag bara kom längre och längre in där. Till slut i alla fall så blev det ljust. Jag kunde ställa mig upp på det här. Jaha, och därför jag ser mig själv som äldre då, kanske 70 och sånt där.
According to Nordqvist, he and his future self had a pleasant conversation and they even took a selfie together as proof. The story exploded online when Nordqvist shared the selfie, showing two men of different ages who looked remarkably alike. However, it was later revealed that this time travel story was part of a marketing campaign by an insurance company. Despite this, the tale remains one of the most shared and widely discussed time traveler stories. What makes this story captivating is its bizarre simplicity. The idea of accidentally stumbling into the future while doing something as mundane as fixing a sink adds a relatable touch to an otherwise fantastical scenario. While debunked as a publicity stunt, Nordqvist's tale continues to circulate, reminding us of how easily time travel captures the imagination. Number 12. Sir Victor Goddard's Time Slip. In 1935, British Royal Air Force officer Sir Victor Goddard experienced what many believe to be a time slip, an unintentional travel to another time period. Goddard was flying over a disused airfield in Scotland when something peculiar happened. As he passed over the dilapidated site, the scene below him suddenly transformed. He saw the airfield fully operational, complete with mechanics working on yellow planes, all wearing unfamiliar uniforms. Confused but convinced of what he saw, Goddard reported the event. 4 years later, in 1939, the airfield was renovated, and the staff uniforms and aircraft colors matched exactly what Goddard had described.
A mysterious glimpse into what some have called a time slip has spurred numerous theories and interpretations. Some suggest that Goddard momentarily entered a different temporal reality, catching a glimpse of a parallel or future world.
The incident has been widely discussed in paranormal circles and is often cited as a possible case of time travel or a time slip where an individual temporarily steps into another time period. While skeptics dismiss the story as a mere coincidence or an overactive imagination, supporters argue that Goddard's military reputation gives credibility to his account. His story remains one of the most intriguing examples of time travel phenomena tied to aviation. Number 11. The Man from Taured. One of the most mysterious and baffling stories of time travel is the tale of the Man from Taured, which took place in 1954 at Tokyo's Haneda Airport. A man arrived with a passport from a country no one had ever heard of, Taured. His documents, including stamps from various countries, appeared legitimate. When customs officials asked him to point out his home country on a map, he was confused when Taured wasn't there. Instead, he insisted that Taured was located where Andorra currently sits, sparking immediate concern. The man was detained and taken to a hotel for further questioning. His passport and other documents were kept under watch, but by the following morning, the man had vanished, along with all his documents. No trace of him was ever found again, leaving authorities baffled.
The mystery of this man was never solved. Many people think that the man came from a parallel universe. Skeptics, on the other hand, note that there is no physical evidence that the man ever existed. Some critics say that his story was first told in the book The Directory of Possibilities by Colin Wilson and John Grant, but its veracity was never confirmed.
Whether this was a case of interdimensional travel, a time slip, or an elaborate hoax, The Man from Taured has become one of the most enduring and puzzling stories tied to the concept of time travel. Number 10. The Time-Traveling Hipster. One of the most debated time travel stories involves a photograph taken in 1941 during the reopening of the South Fork Bridge in Canada. At first glance, the image seems typical for the era, showing a crowd of people attending the event, but one figure stands out, a man dressed in what looks like modern clothing. While most people are in suits, hats, and dresses that fit the 1940s, this man appears to be wearing a graphic t-shirt, sunglasses, and a casual jacket, things that seem way out of place for the time. time. The figure has been dubbed the time-traveling hipster, and the image has been scrutinized by skeptics and believers alike. Some argue that the man's style is too modern to belong in a 1940s setting. His haircut, sunglasses, and even what looks like a printed logo on his shirt seem to belong in the 21st century, sparking widespread debate about whether he is a time traveler who accidentally ended up in this photo. However, skeptics believe there are reasonable explanations. The sunglasses, for example, could be a rare but available style in the early 20th century, and what seems like a graphic t-shirt might just be an old-fashioned sweater with a logo. Despite these rational explanations, the image continues to circulate, with many convinced it shows proof of time travel. Number 9. Moberly and Jourdain's Versailles time slip. In 1901, two women, Charlotte Ann Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain, set out on a trip to the Palace of Versailles. But what started as a simple sightseeing visit soon turned into something much stranger. While walking through the gardens, they claimed to have experienced what seemed like a time slip, suddenly finding themselves back in the late 18th century during the French Revolution. In their account, they saw people dressed in old-fashioned clothing, including a woman they believed to be Marie Antoinette. The two women published their story in a book called An Adventure, which described their bizarre experience in detail. They claimed to have walked through areas that no longer existed and encountered people who appeared to be from another time. Moberly and Jourdain's account became one of the most famous time slip stories, sparking debates about the nature of time and how people might unintentionally travel through it. Skeptics have tried to explain the incident as a case of mistaken identity or hallucination, but the level of detail in their descriptions has kept the mystery alive. The fact that two people experienced the same thing at the same time adds a layer of credibility to the story. Whether it was a genuine time slip or a shared illusion, the case of Moberly and Jourdain remains one of the most convincing and enduring time travel stories. Number 8. Time traveling celebrities. If you've ever compared old photos of historical figures with modern-day celebrities, you might have noticed some eerie similarities. A popular theory claims that some celebrities are time travelers due to their striking resemblance to people from the past. One of the most talked about examples is the resemblance between actor Nicolas Cage and a man from the Civil War era. In an old photograph that surfaced online, a man who looks just like Cage can be seen posing in a formal suit. Some believe this image proves that Nicolas Cage has traveled through time, while others think it's simply a coincidence.
It's a somewhat slowed down version of me.
Guy's theory is that you look exactly the same now, and therefore that makes you a vampire.
Right.
Another example is Keanu Reeves, whose likeness to Paul Mounet, a 19th century French actor, has sparked similar speculation. Reeves, known for his youthful appearance, has barely aged over the past few decades, fueling rumors that he might be immortal or a time traveler. Likewise, actress Jennifer Lawrence has been compared to Egyptian actress Zubeida Fawat, adding to the list of uncanny celebrity lookalikes. While the idea of time-traveling celebrities is likely far-fetched, the striking resemblance between these people has sparked the imagination of conspiracy theorists everywhere. Could these be coincidences, or is it possible that some famous figures have found a way to navigate through time? Number 7. The Montauk Project. The Montauk Project is one of the most well-known conspiracy theories related to time travel. It revolves around alleged secret government experiments that took place at Montauk Air Force Station in New York during the 1970s and 1980s. The project supposedly aimed to explore mind control, time travel, and other paranormal phenomena. Preston Nichols, one of the key figures in the story, claimed to have recovered suppressed memories of being involved in these experiments. Nichols stated that the project used advanced technology to open time portals and send people to different points in history. The Montauk Project shares similarities with another famous conspiracy on the list, the Philadelphia experiment, where a naval ship supposedly vanished and reappeared, with some witnesses claiming it had traveled through time. While no concrete evidence exists to support the claims surrounding the Montauk Project, it has become a major point of interest for conspiracy theorists. The story even inspired the hit TV series Stranger Things, which features a fictionalized version of the Montauk experiments.
Begin.
Many dismiss the Montauk Project as a hoax or a mix of real and imagined events, but for those who believe in it, the project represents a dark chapter in history where secret government operations might have crossed into the realm of time travel. Number 6. The Year 5000 Photo. In 2018, a man named Edward claimed he traveled to the year 5000 as part of a secret experiment. His story became popular because he said he brought back a photo from the future.
I took it with me as a guarantee of solving the question about my citizenship.
Edward stated that by the year 5000, the world had changed completely due to global warming. He said that almost all of Earth was flooded, and major cities like Los Angeles were underwater. Edward showed a photo that he claimed was of Los Angeles underwater. He explained that people had not disappeared but found new ways to live. In this future, people lived in floating cities above the water using advanced technology to survive. The picture he showed had large stretches of water with buildings floating on top, looking like something from a science fiction movie. Edward said the time travel experiment took place in 2004, but he didn't share many details. He didn't explain exactly how the time travel worked or who was behind the project. This has made many people doubt whether his story and the photo are real. Still, Edward's story interests a lot of people. His description of a flooded Earth with people living on floating cities gives us a look at what our world could be like if climate change continues. Whether or not his story is true, it makes people think about the serious effects of global warming. Number 5. The Hutton and Brandt time slip. In 1932, two German journalists, J. Bernhard Hutton and photographer Joachim Brandt, were sent to cover a routine story at the Hamburg shipyard. What they experienced, however, was far from ordinary. While walking around the shipyard, Hutton and Brandt were suddenly caught in what seemed like an air raid. Bombs were falling from the sky, explosions were shaking the ground, and chaos spread everywhere. Shocked by what was happening, Brandt quickly took several photos of the destruction before the two men fled the scene. When they returned to their office, they expected their photos to show the air raid. However, when the images were developed, they revealed nothing unusual, just a normal, peaceful shipyard. No bombs, no damage, nothing. Their editor and colleagues dismissed their story as a misunderstanding. Years later, in 1943, Hutton was living in England when he came across a news report that left him stunned. It was about an Allied air raid on Hamburg, showing images that looked exactly like the scenes he and Brandt had witnessed back in 1932. The event that they had supposedly seen years earlier had finally happened. This strange occurrence has led many to believe that Hutton and Brandt may have somehow seen into the future. Their story remains one of the most mysterious time travel claims ever reported, raising questions about whether time slips like this are possible. Number 4. The Beatles' Everyday Chemistry. Imagine finding a lost album by the Beatles, a band that broke up decades ago. That's exactly what James Richards claimed happened to him in 2009, but his story came with a twist. He found it in a parallel universe. Richards stated that he was walking his dog in California when he stumbled and hit his head. When he woke up, a man named Jonas explained that he had traveled to a parallel dimension where the Beatles never broke up. Jonas gave Richards a cassette tape of the band's new album titled Everyday Chemistry, which Richards later shared online. The album itself, when analyzed, consists of mashups of Beatles' solo work that never existed in our reality, yet they seem authentic. The tracks sound like new music, composed after the band split in our world. Skeptics have, of course, pointed out that the mashups could have been easily created by someone with editing skills and access to their solo albums. However, Richards maintains his story, and no one has definitively debunked it. For die-hard Beatles fans, the idea that somewhere out there, in another universe, John, Paul, George, and Ringo kept making music is an exciting, if far-fetched, thought. Number 3. The Woman in the Charlie Chaplin Film. A 1928 Charlie Chaplin film titled The Circus has a scene that has sparked one of the internet's most popular time travel theories. In the background of the film, a woman can be seen walking through the scene, holding a small rectangular object to her ear. What's striking about this image is that it looks remarkably like she's using a modern mobile phone, a device that obviously didn't exist in 1928. This strange moment in the film has led many to speculate that the woman was a time traveler, accidentally caught on film with technology from the future. Others have offered more mundane explanations, suggesting that she might have been using a hearing aid, which were available during that time period and could resemble a phone when held in a similar manner.
This is pretty much the same exact area. The person turns to the camera and you can see they're talking on something, their knuckles wrapped around something in their hand.
Despite the more grounded explanations, the image of the woman in the circus has captivated audiences for years. Her presence, combined with the appearance of what looks like modern modern technology makes this case one of the most enduring time travel mysteries. Whether it's an innocent moment from the past or a glimpse into something more extraordinary, the footage continues to fuel debates among conspiracy theorists and casual viewers alike. Number 2. The time-traveling Nazi Bell. Die Glocke, or the Bell, was a top-secret Nazi project during World War II that has long been the subject of conspiracy theories. Theories suggest that the device was not just a weapon of war, but a time machine. Accounts claim that the Bell was developed under the supervision of SS officer Hans Kammler and was designed to defy the laws of physics, potentially even allowing its users to travel through time. What happened to the Bell after the war remains a mystery. Some believe it was transported to South America or the US as part of Operation Paperclip, the post-war program that brought Nazi scientists to America. Others say it simply vanished, possibly taking its creators and the secrets of time travel with it. The Bell's disappearance, combined with testimonies from alleged witnesses and those involved in Nazi secret projects, has made it a favorite subject for conspiracy theorists. Although no solid evidence of time travel has ever surfaced, the intrigue surrounding the Bell continues. Whether it was a failed experiment or something much more profound, the possibility that the Nazis might have dabbled in time travel during the war remains a chilling thought. Number 1. Noah, the time traveler. In 2018, a man claiming to be from the year 2030 appeared on social media under the name Noah. He made a series of bold predictions about the future, including advancements in technology, political shifts, and even natural disasters.
First of all of time travel will become possible in the year 2003. It is, however, only used by top secret organizations.
What made Noah stand out from other time travelers was that he agreed to take a lie detector test, which he reportedly passed. Among his predictions, Noah claimed that artificial intelligence would soon dominate the world, that the United States would be divided into separate regions due to political tensions, and that global warming would cause significant environmental changes. While his predictions have yet to fully come true, many were intrigued by his confidence and the supposed legitimacy provided by the lie detector test. Of course, lie detectors are not foolproof, and many have questioned the validity of Noah's test. Still, the story captivated audiences, especially as some of his predictions aligned with trends already emerging in modern society. Whether Noah was a genuine time traveler or just someone with an understanding of current events, his story remains one of the most convincing, or at least one of the most entertaining, time travel accounts out there.